Well, good afternoon. Making a second video on my Kubota B2601. It's a beautiful day up here in Ontario. Sun's glimmering over the lake. I love to see that. I thought it might be helpful. I've had the unit for exactly 1 week today, in fact almost right to the hour, and I wanted to give you a review after using it for a week. In one word, I love this machine. Okay, maybe that was 5 words, but it has really been something. It performs. It's done some great work for me. It's got a ton of power, and I've put 10 hours on it now, and I love this machine. So I wanted to go over a few things after a week of using it to just kind of give you some feedback and an update on how things are going and how it's working. As you can see, I have the Grapple on it again. I was using the bucket earlier. Had to start spreading some gravel out over here as we talked about before, and it worked great. And I've been out grappling old trees. Actually, I picked up a couple of big 50, 60-foot trees that are down in the forest. Grapple picked it up no problem, scooped it, and took it off to where I wanted to dump it. A few things about the tractor I just wanted to go over. One thing I didn't talk about is the tires. You've got 3 different choices of tires. You can have an agriculture tire, which is called an ag tire. The grass type, I forget what they call that, but it's really a small, gentle tread, and you've got an industrial tread as well. So the ag tire's got the most aggressive tread. As you can see in the front, I've got a lot of grass, so I chose to go with the industrial tire, and I've had no problem with it at all. It digs in really good on the hills and through the forest. I took it down. My friend's got 100 acres beside me, and we have been blocking and splitting wood all week. And it worked really great down there. I grappled up a bunch of his old branches and twigs and stuff, so it worked really well. A few things about the tractor. I've seen a few videos where people talk about, trying to put the diesel into the top of the tractor, and, everybody spills their diesel everywhere. And I didn't see it was a big deal. I went to the auto store and I picked up this $10 part. It's a little unit you put on your gas can, and it's got an automatic stopper here. And you just, when you're ready to pour, you put it into the diesel opening or into the gas tank opening, and when you push down on it, it lets the gas out. You lift up, it stops, and not spilling a drop. So anyways, a little $10 part, but it's doing the trick apparently. In the first video, you'll know that you'll remember I talked about the tilt steering and the cruise control, and I made a mention about, I don't know if I'd ever use them, but I've got to tell you, comfort. These things are great. The tilt steering really makes a difference. You flip it up just by pressing down on this pedal, and it opens up a lot of space for you to get in and off the tractor. And when you're driving it, you just step on it and pull the steering wheel down, and you place it where you're comfortable. And it's really a handy, practical option. Cruise control, as I mentioned, I didn't think I'd ever use it. I use it every day. I'm going up the driveway, as you mentioned, it's about a mile or a kilometer and a quarter through the forest, and as I'm driving along, you're pushing on the accelerator, and all you've got to do is just push this button down, and then you can release your foot and you're driving along in cruise control. So it's actually been a really handy, practical feature of this tractor, so I'm pleased it's got it. Another small thing I missed last week, which is surprisingly practical, is there's a hole in the seat. And for those of you that have tractors or lawn tractors or other equipment that you use outside, every time it rains, you get a big, huge puddle of water right in the seat where you put your butt. And they were smart enough to put a hole there to help drain the water out. So I thought that was pretty handy. A couple other things on the tractor which I wanted to point out. I've learned a lot this week. I did not realize how important it was to have ballast on the back of your tractor. And so what I've learned this week is that the tractor itself, without any implements or attachments on it, is a very well balanced tractor. Balanced front to back. There's X amount of weight on the front axle, so much on the back. I filled my tires with beet juice, which I mentioned last week. But what I did find is that I started grappling, and more importantly using the bucket and digging into this big pile of gravel over here and spreading it out. As the tractor was coming through some very uneven ground here, which I've kind of smoothed out. This used to dip and dodge a little bit. I was finding that the front end, right or left of the tractor, would fall based on, whether I was in a divot, and the back wheel would come up off the ground. Very unstable and very unsafe. Did a little bit of research, talked to a bunch of good people on the Orange Tractor Forum, and found out that a lot about, I guess, physics and pivot points and the importance of having a weight on the back of the tractor when you're using something on the front. So of course, zipped out, got myself a ballast box, filled it up with about 400 pounds of gravel, and since I've been using that for the last 2 or 3 days, I got no problem. I can fill that bucket with gravel and take it down through different slopes, and the tractor is really stable. Huge difference, and really important for safety as well as for operating. Another couple of things here. I found out the hard way that the link pins for the top of the 3-point hitch as well as the bottom, they're actually different size pins. So I took about an hour-and-a-half drive down to the tractor dealer, picked up the ballast box, thought that the pins that I had, the spare pins I had, would fit it fine, drove all the way home, found out they didn't, and well, it was a nice day for a drive, that's all. Another thing I found out about the tractor, which 3-point hitch works great, lifts a lot of weight. I think it's spec'd at 660 pounds, which is very good for matching the weight or the things I can do on the front with the snowblower, etc. However, the 3-point hitch actually doesn't drop all the way to the ground. I'm not sure if that's a huge problem, but I'm pretty sure that if I tried to pick up this 400 pounds of gravel, I'd be having a tough time, because I'd probably end up having to tether it off of the bucket, lift it, put it on blocks, and then try to get the 3-point hitch in, because the pins, the arms of the 3-point hitch will not drop to the ground. They drop roughly where you see them now, a little bit lower. So what I do basically is I've just, you can probably see I've got a couple of blocks under there to take the pressure off. Other than that, the tractor's performed really, really well for me. I'm very happy with it. Starts up great, runs really good. It's got a ton of power. As I said before, shifting gears or using your PTO or your 3-point hitch lever, all of them, they're like butter. They're very smooth. There's no need to clutch. You just shift them when you just drop your RPMs. You shift them, they slide right into gear really easily. So I'm really pleased. One thing I did find, I didn't realize how much pressure is in these hydraulic lines. Went to put the Grapple on the other day, and I found that when I was trying to put these quick connects in, I just couldn't push them in. And I thought maybe I was a little exhausted because I've been, as I said, out in the forest blocking wood all week. But I finally called my dealer, and as usual, very responsive, picked up the phone, and he told me that basically there's a lot of pressure in there. So one of the things they suggest is that you cycle the valve, and that apparently helps to relieve pressure, which in fact it did. However, it didn't relieve enough. It allowed me to push them in a little bit. And what he said I had to do, which happens sometimes, is I had to actually just disconnect the connection there and allow some of the hydraulic fluid to spill out to relieve the pressure. So I did that, took a couple of wrenches, took them off. A little bit of fluid, like a very little bit, came out, and I put them back on, and sure enough I was able to plug them in no problem. So I thought what I might do today, I just wanted to give you an update on the tractor. 2 thumbs up. Kubota, great machine. Really, really well designed. And what I'm going to do maybe today, just to give you a little demonstration, is I am going to grapple an old stump, about 7 to 8 foot long stump or piece of tree that fell down close to the water. And then I'm going to switch it, put the loader on, and I'm going to scoop a little bit of dirt or gravel and spread it out for you there and show you how the machine operates. And also I learned how to use the float for the front pin, so you can actually, if you're trying to grade, you can actually take the bucket and turn it down a bit and use the edge of the front of the bucket, throw it into float, and it'll allow you to drag the aggregate and help to shape it and flatten it out for you, which is a really handy thing. So anyways, I'm not super good at it, but I'll give it a whirl and hopefully you'll find it enjoyable. I'll see you in a minute after I fire this thing up. Okay, so I just wanted to give it a little grapple here. You'll see we had this old 6-7 foot part of a tree sticking out. Had it for years. It finally fell over, actually, because my buddy hit it with his tractor. But so I'm just going to grapple this up and maybe just throw it on my burn pile here, just to show you how the grapple works again. I tell you, this thing is money well spent. I'm so glad I picked that up. So just going to do a little grappling. Going to grab it, drop it for you, just so you can see how this unit works and how well it scoops. Then I'm going to take her back. I'm going to take the grapple off and then put the loader on and grab some gravel for you. All right, here we go. Safety first. Okay, she's good. Drop her to low. Give her a little bit of gas. Okay. Turn that 3-point on. there we go. And I always like to throw a block under here just so it can hold up the 3-point, because that box, when you sit the tractor in idle, you shut it off, you probably don't want the strain of that sitting under there. So I just throw a little block under. Now we can drop her down a bit. There we go. Anyway, so that's the Grapple again. I'm going to take it off in a few minutes and load some gravel, as I mentioned. Nice thing about this is, you know, when my wife first told me a few weeks back when that stump fell that she wanted me to get it out of there, the first thing I was thinking is, okay, I got to find one of my friends down the concession with a tractor, ask them to come out, or get a few guys over here to lift it out for me and dig it up, and try to figure out their timing versus my timing. And now that I've got my own tractor, I don't worry about it. I just pick it up and I do my own work and look after my own things at my own time. Anyways, great tractor. I'll be back in a minute and we'll do some grappling, or some front end loader stuff. Okay. Took the Grapple off, as you can see, and as they tell you, this thing loads really easy and it works great. The quick attach, so long as you keep it level. And of course, most of the ground is never level, but that's why I'm glad I've got the old pieces of wood there, because as I drop it down, I just put the wood in to make sure it stays level. Did the same thing with the bucket, so scooped it up really easy. And of course, as you know, you just curl into it, lift it up, slap these in, and check to make sure your pins are in. Anyways, just gonna grab a little bit of gravel for you, show you what I do with it. As I said, I'm just learning, but I'm starting to get a little bit of the hang of it. And after you drop the gravel, what's really nice is, I'll show you, I'm gonna put it into float and drag it backwards to help level the ground after I've dumped the load. Okay, so let's get at it and get this thing rolling. Okay, we're in neutral. All is good. A 4-wheel drive. Safety first, as always. Okay, I'll just leave her in low for now. We rev her up and see what we can do. Got ourselves a load. Push it into float, drag her back. As you can see, it really smooths it out pretty easily. Okay. Anyways, like I said, a few more passes and I'll get a little smoother, but I'm getting the hang of it a little bit, and slowly going to build out this driveway. Okay, so that's the B2601, the 1 week in review. 10 hours on the engine, starts up every time. It's great. I love this tractor, and I'm really happy now that I have the ballast on it to make sure I can keep myself steady as I'm going through the bumps. Okay, anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.